U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth visited the demilitarized zone separating the two Koreas on Monday as he began a two-day visit to ally South Korea for security talks. According to Associated Press, Hegseth and South Korean Defense Minister Ahn Gyu-back received a briefing from military officials at Observation Post Ouellette, a site near the military demarcation line that past U.S. presidents, including Donald Trump during his first term in 2019, had visited to peer across the border into North Korea and meet with American soldiers. Hegseth and Ahn also visited the Panmunjom border village, where an armistice was signed to pause the 1950-53 Korean War. Ahn's ministry said the visit reaffirmed the firm combined defense posture and close coordination between the allies. Hegseth did not mention North Korea, which has ignored Washington and Seoul's calls for dialogue in recent years while accelerating the expansion of its nuclear weapons and missile programs. South Korea's military also said Monday that the country's Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Jin Yong-sung and his U.S. counterpart, General Dan Kane, oversaw a combined formation flight aboard South Korean and U.S. F-16 fighter jets above a major U.S. military base in Pyeongtaek. The flight, conducted for the first time, was intended to demonstrate the Allies' ironclad combined defense posture and the unwavering strength of the alliance, Seoul's defense ministry said. Hegseth and Ahn, who previously met on Saturday at a defense ministers' meeting in Malaysia, will attend the Allies' annual defense talks in Seoul on Tuesday. The talks are expected to cover key alliance issues, including South Korea's commitment to increase defense spending and the implementation of a previous agreement to transfer wartime operational control of Allied forces to a binational command led by a South Korean general with a U.S. deputy.
We have a community. Where do you want us at? First class.
The economic hardships in Russia due to the war in Ukraine are causing increasing anger among the country's population, especially in the country's far eastern regions. The population is responding with mass protests against the attempts of Vladimir Putin's government to finance the war in Ukraine by raising taxes and tariffs. In this case, the Russian government is pushing back the introduction of increased recycling fees for passenger cars with engine power over 160 HP by another month. The Ministry of Industry and Trade announced this. The new tariffs will come into effect on December the 1st, not November, the Ministry of Industry and Trade reported. This is the second time the government has postponed this initiative, which has sparked relatively significant protests in the Far East due to the sharp increase in the cost of imported cars. The postponement was once again explained as taking into account the interests of those car buyers who had previously ordered their cars and were awaiting delivery. Otherwise, they would have to pay an additional fee of several 100,000 to several million rubles to use the car they had already purchased. Officials again emphasized that the sharp increase in recycling fees should not affect a large group of people, as cars with engine power below 160 horsepower account for up to 80% of the vehicle market. However, car owners in Russia's Far East, where mass protests against the government's initiative have already taken place and are planned, categorically disagree with this logic. Many in the region make money by importing cars into Russia. In Vladivostok, for example, communists are attempting to secure approval for a second mass rally of 500 people, but the mayor's office is refusing, citing the fact that United Russia members will be holding a rally on the topic of fighting racism at the same time at the designated location. But the Vladivostok mayor's office refused to allow the communists to hold a new mass rally against the recycling fee in Vladivostok on November the 9th. As reported, the reason is that another rally, a United Russia rally, has allegedly already been scheduled for this location, and it's on a completely different topic: the fight against racism and fascism. And the communists were not offered any other meeting places at all. The applicants, Primorsky Krai Legislative Assembly Deputy Alexander Sustov and District Deputy Oleg Grigoriev, reported the refusal. As a reminder, when explaining the rationale behind the tariff increases, the Ministry of Industry and Trade stated that there were measures to support Russian automakers, primarily Avtovaz, a key enterprise in the Samara region, which had already switched to a 4-day work week due to a demand crisis. But even more outraged were Minister Alikhanov's statements that the new tariffs would support Chinese automakers who had decided to organize screwdriver production of their cars in Russia, creating jobs there. At the same time, there is no recycling fee procedure for cars in Russia as such, despite the existence of a tariff.